Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cinema B-Side. Today, we're going to two FYC events. Not one, but two. One is Book of Boba Fett. Two is Moon Knight. And they're doing them at the Disney Theater, at the Disney El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. They've never done this before. I will explain all about the Disney Theater and that whole corner on our way there. But are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go! Oh, hello, hi there. It's me, Todd. I'm in the studio, and today's sponsor is myself. The best way to support the channel is to subscribe to my Patreon, where not only do you become a member of the community, you get early access to the B-side videos as well as watch-throughs of movies or TV shows we are covering, and other movie reactions and commentaries from a filmmaker's perspective. And if that's out of your budget, no worries, just hit that like button. It really does help out the channel with the algorithm. And of course, subscribe to get the latest videos delivered directly to you. Hit that notification bell to be alerted of the newest uploads, and please share these videos with your friends and family. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program. We are headed to Hollywood today, to the El Capitan Theater, and like I said, Disney owns basically this whole block in Hollywood, at the hub of Hollywood, at Hollywood and Highland. They own the Ghirardelli chocolate store. Disney and Ghirardelli have a partnership because there's a Ghirardelli California Adventure, which is basically a Disney store that they also sell Ghirardelli chocolates and ice cream and stuff. And a well-known secret, a little secret, is you can go to the Ghirardelli ice cream counter and get your Ghirardelli ice cream, and they'll let you take it into the theater. So don't let anyone know I told you this. But so they own the Ghirardelli store, they own the El Capitan Theater, and then they own the building next to El Capitan, which is where Jimmy Kimmel does his show from. So they own this whole block. And the El Capitan Theater has been around since the silent movie era. It was one of the first theaters that played talkies. It is one of the only surviving theaters that still has a built-in organ. So the organ is actually built into the theater, and the pipes and stuff run through the inside of it. Paramount owned it at one point, and then in the 80s, Disney bought that corner and fixed it all up. And that's where Disney does all their movie premieres now. And then they show Disney movies there. So the best place to watch all the Disney movies is at El Capitan, because they do a little show before. Like, for instance, I went and saw Dumbo there. And then they had circus performers before the show started. And then after, they have a little museum underneath. So you go downstairs, and then you can walk through this little museum area, and then they have all the props and stuff from the movie there. I saw all the Avengers movies there. They have Captain America's costume and his shield, and his photo with Peggy inside, the whole thing. It's it's awesome. The only place I go watch Disney movies because of all the extra fun doodads that they do. And then you just get to go to Hollywood for the day. So we are headed up La Brea, and so I don't know if you'll be able to see this through the GoPro, but to the right here is the Muppet Studio. Right there. There it is. Did you see Kermit up there? Long before it was the Muppet Studio, it was Charlie Chaplin's studio. And then now we are at Sunset and La Brea. And for those that follow the channel, what else was at Sunset and La Brea? What's to the left of us right here, where Roman's Liquor is? That's right. We did the filming locations for Midnight Madness. And The drive up diner where Harold is was right over there. Right there. Right there. Like I said, here we are. El Capitan FYC Fest has begun. And I'm going to zoom out and show you, like I said, here's the studio store, Ghirardelli chocolate store, and then right next door there is where they filmed Jimmy Kimmel. Everyone's already starting to line up for the event. Another good thing about coming to see movies at the El Capitan is that they always include a popcorn and a drink when you purchase your ticket. And we're getting them today. And we're getting them today also as well. Hello. Thank you. Ta-da! My buddy Raj is here from when we went to Stranger Things. And he was texting me, but I don't know if he's down here or not, or if he went to the balcony. Let's see if we can find him. Here comes the organ. It comes out of the bottom of the stage. This guy has played the organ for years and years and years here at the theater. Ooh,
Good afternoon. Officially, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Mance, and I am very, very pumped to be moderating this conversation for the Book of Boba Fett. What did you think on the big screen? Looks like it belongs there, doesn't it? And that is a testament to the talented panel we have for you today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out to the stage composer Joseph Shirley. She is a two-time Emmy winner for outstanding visual effects for The Mandalorian. Please welcome Abby Keller. She's an Emmy nominee for outstanding fantasy sci-fi costumes for The Mandalorian. Please welcome Shauna Tripchick. He's an Emmy winner for outstanding production design for The Mandalorian. Please welcome Andrew Jones. And our last panelist is a legend who wrote the book, literally, on filmmaking. Please welcome director and producer Robert Rodriguez. So first of all, just full disclosure, I've now watched this on Disney Plus 3 times, and it gets better and better with each viewing because there's so much new information visually, especially to discover in the Book of Boba Fett. But Robert Rodriguez, listen, to do a series based on Star Wars, which is, 45 years old. How daunting was it for you, and also liberating? Because, Boba Fett had 5 lines in The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, I think that was the best thing. I consider myself just a lifelong Star Wars fan, being a fan of Boba since I was 11, because I was, a kid when Star Wars came out. So this has been my life, a lifelong relationship with this property. But getting to do it in television, especially the way John was doing it, which were like feature films on television, and he was doing it with Kathleen and Dave in a way that really was a throwback to how George invented it. It was very indie made back then. It was from an independent filmmaker's mindset. It was from a filmmaker. Felt less from a corporation and more from a filmmaker. And that's how they built it. So I was excited to come play in the sandbox, but also because it was Boba, you kind of had a free range to create something because he was so mysterious. And then it was the best of both worlds, because what's great about him is his mystery. But you get to retain that because we're not telling the story of what happened before the Sarlacc. We're telling a new story of what happened after. So he still gets to retain that early memory I have of Boba, which was very mysterious at the time of Empire Strikes Back. That gets to get retained. Gave us a lot of freedom to do kind of anything we wanted. and explore a story that John had in mind of doing the Godfather type 2 type multiple storylines going on at once with flashbacks. And it's daunting. The challenge is, how do you create that on a little backlot that's very small? Because you'd always heard about George going out to Tunisia and filming in the desert for Tatooine, and we've got a little about sand, about this much of sand. Inventiveness of Andrew here, creating a set that could be multiple parts of the city at once. It was really, I came here to learn, and I learned a lot from this incredible team that was put together. So, let's talk about that.
I loved that world back in 1978 when I first saw it, and I just really wanted to get back in there and not just reproduce those, but then walk around in the palace and create the tower, what's in the tower, the back room, and then go down into the basement. And we even got to reproduce the throne room's kitchen. So I think that was my favorite set. That was a real thrill. But no, it was a real joy to reproduce that as faithfully as we could.
Well, I hope you were there that day, but it had to be incredibly, gratifying, because we all looked at it and thought, this looks just like the movie. But then we had Mark Hamill came over and looked at it, and sat on the throne and looked at where he fell into the pit. And he went, yeah, this is exactly like how it was. For him, it was like going back into a time machine.
That really happened?
Yeah, we got behind the scenes footage of that and everything.
That is extremely cool. Wow. So, Sean, I want to ask, one thing that I really love about the Book of Boba Fett is the continued world building, especially that we see on Tatooine. So, in terms of the costume design, the wardrobe, what kind of experimentation did you do to capture just the dynamic of the costume design in Book of Boba Fett?
Well, I too am a lifelong fan of Star Wars. And you learn, and I rewatched everything when I found out I had the job, and then brought a whole new aesthetic to Boba Fett. You learn like certain details and certain aesthetics that ring true to you. So I would literally steal the way somebody stitched something on a past episode 1, 2, or 3, or 4, 5, and 6, and I would use those details in my costumes for this show. So subconsciously, the fan would hopefully connect the dots of the past and the current, show that they're watching.
What informed you expanding beyond like the John Williams-ish inspired script that people just sort of associate with Star Wars, especially when it came to the tribal portions where there's a lot of vocals?
Yeah, I'll start with writing music for the show presented its own challenges because Robert Rodriguez is himself an accomplished composer. So, when you're writing music for someone who also writes music, it's it's tough just because he really knows how music works, and but it also made it fun. I mean, at the beginning of the project, and even in Mandalorian season 2, Robert sent Ludwig and myself some ideas of an inspiration for what the sound of Boba Fett could become, and that totally inspired us and set us on a course, But as far as this show goes, I mean, it was just such a wild ride to work on with all the different genres that are introduced. And one of the exciting things about working with people like Robert and John and Dave is like they just trust in their departments and in their department heads so much, and it makes it really liberating and freeing and also exciting to be able to work with people like that, when we decided to lean into some musical genres and lean into those types of colors and textures and everything, it just worked and everybody was on board with it, And it's always fun as a composer to mix it up like that too. And for a show like this with so many different characters, especially this episode 7 or chapter 7, it was like every character is coming back. So everyone musically needed to have their theme represented in some sort of way.
All the key creatives in a room to decide things when everybody's there and excited and the artwork's coming out and they're in a planning mode, and it's just something that traditionally everybody's rolled off the project by the time some of this stuff's coming up. When these decisions are being made in a more traditional timeline, the production designer might be on another project, the DP might be in another country, and you're missing that opportunity to get all those creative input on a decision or a creative path or world, really. We can build our world ahead of time.
Yeah, well, and we collaborated on DigiDoubles. Because of COVID, we couldn't have as many background artists as we wanted. So we were dressing, I was designing, she would send me those pose, and we were like moving around colors of the digital doubles that would be on the wall, and the volume that would be walking around to fill the space.
Yeah.
Final word on this amazing team, Robert.
Final word, I wish I could take them with me everywhere. Because what was great is that it was a new show. I had done an episode of Mandalorian with Boba Fett, and we went right into this. So they were able to carry over this incredible crew that had already done season 1 and season 2 of Mando. So you weren't dealing with starting up a new show and crewing up. You had these, they knew how to do it, they knew what they were doing, yet they had the challenge of creating a whole new show, but they at least had already been in that world. So well-oiled machine going in. If it wasn't for that, we didn't see how we could have done it, because the challenges of COVID and the limitations of what we had to work, being up against the clock. You already, Kathleen, John, Dave, they'd already put together this amazing team of artists that were just, because coming off those 2 other shows also, they're setting the bar even higher for themselves. So it's work that is beyond the norm that you would have in a new show. And because of the legacy, everyone loving Star Wars, that gives a glow to everything they do. They push themselves even harder, they challenge themselves more. Everything's amazing, and everyone is just so talented and just at their A game, bringing their A game and beyond. And it's so inspiring to see. It's the kind of project you forget you're actually, this is your job. I would have paid money to come have this experience. Like going to a rock camp and go play with your favorite rock musicians and get on stage and jam with them. That's what this felt like.
Wow, that's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Book of Boba Fett is streaming on Disney Plus. Watch it on Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, amazing panelists, and bravo on an exceptional job, both.
In here is where they usually have all the props and costumes and stuff, but of course it's closed now because I'm not going to bring out Boba Fett and their Moon Knight and Abbott Elementary later for just a few hours. But now we're heading over to the Roosevelt across the street, which is a extremely old school Hollywood hotel for the reception. Center of Hollywood. There's Hollywood and Highland. Here's the Dolby Theater. Dolby Theater is where they have the Academy Awards every year. Is right inside there. Roosevelt Hotel. There's Madame Tussauds. The Wax Museum is in there. And then there's the Chinese Theater where they do all the movie premieres. I'm headed in to, maybe they have costumes here. No? Maybe. Look at that. How you doing? Hi. Yeah, they do. They have like the set set up just like over at Raleigh. Look at that. Got the Kimmel set. Set up for Blackish. Here's the Abbott Elementary. Costume. So awesome. Check it. Alright y'all, that's a wrap on the Book of Boba Fett, our first event for today, and I'm headed back over to the El Capitan for Moon Knight. So check out that video up next. And of course, don't forget to like this video, it really helps me out. And don't forget to subscribe because, you know, then you can get more of these. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. I am out of here.